All right, and we're live again. All right, there we go. We fixed our issues here. Welcome back, everybody.
Thank you.
Sorry for the technical issues, everybody. I believe we have it fixed now. Yeah, once I started screen sharing, that's when OBS did not like that at all. Did not like it. That's why it was important to do that before we started. But we got it good now. All right, we'll give it a minute. Let everybody kind of come back in real quick, and then we'll go ahead and start again. Start the ISC. But yeah, the
so yes, Radish, that helps better.
The the 200 player count, you know, I think it's a good and bad thing. I think it's a good thing because it'll break stuff, and I think it's a bad thing because it'll break stuff. Because that's how things get better over time, is when things break. And I think the test will be a success. I think that it will technically work. People will be able to go about, do their things. But what will that do for us? You know, are we gonna what kind of implications on the servers is it gonna have? You know, for us. So we'll have to find out. It'll be interesting after their tests are done. They're doing a whole server-wide. They're making it into like this big event where it kind of culminates into a battle over at Grim Hex, and then they kind of like spread out and do their own things afterwards. So it'll be interesting. I'm not against them doing it. I kind of figured it was going to happen after PES. I think this is going to be a thing they regularly go back to and try. You know, so especially the closer we get to server meshing and stuff, I think they want to get our where we currently are. They want to bump up the numbers as much as possible before server meshing. To I mean, I think whatever work on the back end that they do.
If you look at the events, right? If you look at the events, the details for it clearly to be a 200 person at a single location type of thing, with like their own individual ships at a single location, at Grim Hex, doing battles and things flying. So I think this is a really good measurement. So they want to kind of get a feel for how much a server can handle going into server meshing. So if a single server can handle 200 people, then what happens if, you know, a server for Orison, a server for some, you know, an orbital marker and Arm Crusader, you can start having shards with quite a few people in them. But I think this is a good sign. The fact that we went from 50 to 100, and just 6 or 7 months later, we're going to hopefully go from 100 to 200.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. But I also think this is going to piss a lot of people off, you know, because things aren't really working that well now. They kind of are, but a lot of people are still having a lot of issues.
Has anybody heard if there's still people that can't get in game at all? Just
as a Reddit lurker, I haven't seen anybody complain about that in a while. At least a week. I know last week people were complaining about it, but so far, this week I haven't seen anybody really complain. So whether that's still a thing, you know, maybe they gave up. Maybe they're waiting for the next patch. I don't know.
Well, I'll say this. When 3.19.1 dropped, I did have an issue at first. And I had to clear out the folders and everything like that to get back in. With that new tool that you put in the chat, Joe,
Yeah.
I haven't had a problem since. When I do crash, I go and run that,
Yeah.
and boom, I'm back in.
Good. Good.
So it works well. It works very
So
well.
the tool he's referring to, if nobody caught it, our last episode we talked about it a little bit. It's a tool. It's a fan made tool that, you know, whenever you want to clear out your caches, your shader caches, and your user folder for Star Citizen, you just run this little thing, and you press a button, and it does it for you without you having to dig through folders trying to find everything. It's just something that saves you, you know, another minute or two of your time. And I know, me personally, I've accidentally deleted the wrong folder, and it completely messed up my whole install, and I had to reinstall and stuff. That was way back when I first started, but you know, I'm sure other people have done it before, and this helps with that, so you won't have to worry about that. And I'll see if I can put that in the link. Put a link in the description somewhere for everybody if you guys want to download it. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It does default to C. So if you have your user folder in a different directory, you may have to go into the program itself and edit it so you can get to it for your user folder. But I don't do it. I manually wipe out my user folder if I need to, but I haven't had a problem. And that thing, I'm going to say this. I've gotten into game 50 times faster than normal.
Wow.
Using that. So, yeah, it helps.
I have it installed on my computer, but I've only used it once and have only gone in game once since then, so I can't really speak of it doing anything for me yet. But I'm glad to hear that it's working for you. It's good.
Big time.
All right, let's go ahead and start this thing.
Now is no different. So let's check in with them and get some updates on a few of the new features they're working on, including one improvement to the law system that's a long time coming.
We've released the salvage contracts already, and you buy the contract from a contract broker, and it's just a transaction. You buy the rights to salvage, and you can just salvage at your own leisure. There's no risk. So we wanted to add a bit more variety. The illegal ones, there's a timer with enemies, but once you get rid of them, like, that's it. So we added the cover-up missions.
It's an unlawful mission, and the idea is that Ninetales have committed a crime and want you to cover their tracks.
We know security is going to investigate the crime scene, so you're being hired to scrap all the identifiable markings and paint, and you have a certain time limit.
It's the first mission really to have fail timer. So if you don't take the skin off of the ship in time, the police will turn up, instantly clock it and say, you know, this is Ninetales and you'll have failed your job.
You fail the mission.
So, what do you guys feel about that?
I feel like nobody was scraping those ships like they wanted them to, so the game made a mission to force us to.
That's what they end up saying, yeah. That's what they, yep.
Everybody was looking for cargo and taking the weapons off. They weren't stripping the hulls.
Well, and on top of that, right, the biggest thing for me is because this is still an alpha, because there's limitations to it, I think ultimately in the long run this won't be a problem because there'll be a cost to death, there'll be a benefit having these ships. You know, these fines will not be as common, especially in let's say lawful areas. So it'll be worth so they will be able to up the price of actually replacing the hull, right? There'll be a benefit there, but for now they really can't. They have to limit the profitability. They have to limit the. So they're giving us a reason to sort of test it. What it feels like to me.
I view this mission, at least I have a vision in my head of where I want this to kind of like lean in towards. And I keep thinking about crime scene cleanup, you know, but on the unlawful side. So, you know, somebody that like a gang would hire, or the gang itself, they would have somebody within their group that specializes in cleanup, and they would go to a specific scene. And what I would love, because obviously if you're there to strip the hull and all the identifiable markings, wouldn't there be bodies in the hull, you know? And I want there to be like, you know, you open up the ship inventory and there's stuff in there. I want there to be bodies. I want, you know, multiple objectives, not just stripping the hull. I want you to have to go in there and take everything out completely, you know, maybe even the components, because, you know, I would think that there within lore, there would be other things about the ship that would kind of give it away as to, you know, who it belongs to, as far as like component IDs and stuff like that.
I think components would be a bit much. But I could definitely see like weapons racks, external storage, ship inventories, that kind of thing. I could log in there and say, hey, there's a data pad. Well, clearly that's someone's data pad that needs to be pulled, that kind of thing. Or and also got to keep in mind, these missions, like all the missions we have right now, they're not meant to be just always omnipresent. They're meant to spawn based on events that's going to happen in the background with Quantum.
Yeah.
So, like the HRTs, the ERTs, the cargo missions, even the salvage missions, they're supposed to be triggered from another event. So, like the balance, I'm not really concerned with the balance right now. I think this is literally, they need someone to test this, and they test a salvaging mission that gives reputation, that has a fail objective, a failure objective as a possibility.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You don't get paid, you have nothing to show for it. However, if you do successfully manage to completely wipe the ship clean, then you get paid because you rendered them service, which is also going to tie in with reputation, which the current contracts don't implement yet.
If you do want to get greedy, you can still get greedy. You can still start taking parts off. That isn't part of a mission. You can still go aboard, and there's probably going to be, you know, really valuable things aboard.
Now, because they nerfed the whole selling of weapons and stuff like that, you're not going to be taking those off probably, but the cargo will be easy enough to transfer off of that thing, and the cargo is what you're going to really want.
Yep.
What I like about this mission is that it's a bit of a precursor to how we want to start evolving the salvage missions as we go. Currently, salvage missions don't have reputation tied into them. You just buy the contract and you're done. But this is going to start our work towards having more reputation scopes. You're actually going to have rewards coming in with finishing these missions. There's actually going to be a reason for doing these in the long run.
One of the things we'd noticed is that even though they're salvage missions, now that you can take cargo off and weapons off, people are actually leaving the skin. They weren't using the salvage beams as we imagined they would. So it's been nice that we can actually make that part of the mission. We can make the feature, the mission critical aspect.
With Siege of Orison, we built these new Crusader platforms. You've definitely seen Solanke platform, Brushwood, Heartmoor, and building those, we essentially got all of the building blocks required to expand Crusader even further.
We made Inspiration Park, which is a whole collection of 4 platforms and a whole bunch of buildings. Then we started doing platform infiltration missions on them. The problem with that is that every time a mission location is used, it can't be used by another mission at that point. It's kind of reserved. So if 2 people do that, that's already 6 buildings out of the rotation, which limits a lot of the buildings. So what we decided is to have several more of these platform parks.
We really just wanted one location that would be for Siege. We intended to copy and paste those all over the place in new formations. And that would mean that the siege islands would just be for siege, so that the event and the missions don't have to share the same location. We knew we could then like take those islands, reconfigure them, and then just like place them all over Crusader.
Using multiple locations around Crusader.
All right, so I know Shadow's the siege man. so tell us what you think about this. I know you've been waiting for this kind of thing for a little bit, right?
Yeah, this one I'm very excited for. I love going to the platforms, and I just think I would love to explore them without having a mission, of course, but this gives me more opportunity to play this type of scenario. I enjoy going to the platform. And when they turned it off, it was for a specific reason. And this is what it was. And I'm glad they did it. So I'm hoping this works out in 320. Really. I'm excited.
I think it's good. The fact that they're actually going to be able to make other locations spread across Orison that are, far away from the main landing zone. I think it's good to have other places to go to on the planet. But yeah, they keep saying that, it's a copy and paste and they're just going to be a little rearranged. I wanted it. I'm hoping there's going to be a little bit more to it than that. I want them to actually kind of go in and make it somewhat distinct from everything else. It doesn't have to, doesn't have to be a lot, but just enough to where just put something that we haven't seen yet on there, maybe some sort of just a building or something like that to kind of make it a little bit identifiable.
I think you'll see something new, Joe, and I don't think it'll be the building, at least initially. And I'll explain my reasons why. I don't know if it's properly. So the previous platform, as it was perfectly fine. If you wanted to do them, I never had an issue getting the mission. Right? They mentioned in the video that once you give away a building, right, or a location, that it can't be used again for someone. I never had that problem, right? So what's causing the problem now? What change do they make that would cause that to be a problem? I think we're going to see missions that will be given that'll be sort of a multi-part mission that might take a little bit longer to complete than your standard mission. That would cause this to become a problem. And they mentioned before they've done the mission tool set, where they are like the Siege of Korea, for example. That's not retake Korea. That's retake location that's being attacked, right? That could be applied to these facilities. That could be applied to. There could be an unlawful mission that is given for a bad guy faction that says go down here and steal something from Crusader, and then a lawful mission given to a player, a legal player group, a lawful player group that would then say, hey, go stop the siege. Right. This feels very much like they're expecting larger, more in-depth missions to be coming. That would be a much more of a longer-term mission. This is very encouraging. I did feel bad for Crusader because apparently everywhere in Crusader is under attack right now. So.
And constantly.
Yeah.
You know what? To be just a thought just popped in my head. These could be the premise for the new underground facilities missions. I mean, getting a format started on them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know all the particulars about what they're doing, but
they get the basic form and testing it.
Yeah.
This is what it seems like to me.
They've also talked about taking these missions and putting them on all the other major landing zones on the planets and stuff like that. So like ArcCorp will have their own versions of Siege of Orson, and Microtech would, and I'm assuming because we're getting 2 other outlaw factions here soon. I think within Stanton, I think they're supposed to come in and replace some of the Xenothreat type of stuff. Like what were they called? The Dusters. And I can't think of the other one, but yeah, I think they're supposed to come in and kind of just be like, just take over some of the load of all the assaults, because you can't, it doesn't really make sense to have just one faction attacking everything all the time. And yeah, because I think in lore, there's multiple factions. There's 3 or 4 of them that are fighting for different purposes. So it creates more of a dynamic with a lot of the events, because it can't just be Xenothreat 24/7 with everything. So I think Orison's gonna get a break here soon. The poor rich people over on Orison, poor VIPs.
There's an investigation by the UE right now. They're walking on thin water. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spreads players out more, which helps the performance, and we kind of wanted to use the planet itself more as well.
The intent was to run Siege for 319, but unfortunately, we weren't able to hit that.
Oh,
we
people
ended
would
up
be
in
so
a
mad.
very awkward position where we had disabled the ability to have the current missions that went out on those islands in 318 available in 319, and we also didn't have the other islands placed. So we just had to turn those missions off completely until we get these new floating islands. So we made the decision to add more islands all around Crusader. It allowed us more freedom, like we can tell different stories. The new consignment mission involves the item dispensers that you've seen at Jumptown and in Korea.
The consignment missions are made by Max.
You'll be tasked with going to the UGF to retrieve a mission-critical item.
There's several NPCs walking around, either security guards or other NPCs, and several of them will be carrying data pads with a code on them.
By taking the tablets on them, players can see these codes.
You will have to sift through multiple codes to find that item.
Think of it as an Amazon locker where you have a code for your delivery. So you have to look on a tablet, which code hold which set of items. You go to a terminal, enter the code, and then it starts spitting out these objects one by one.
You can even type that code in and like stop it halfway through and then type the code in again and get the other half of the consignment out. The consignments can be found in various places. Like there's a lawful mission where you go and the security occupants of a UGF have been killed by the Ninetales. So there's all these corpses around and you have to go searching through them while fighting off the Ninetales to find these data pads. And, scanning through the data pad and you finding whether it's got the mission critical items that you're looking for, or maybe just some really valuable items for things like Haddonite and Dolavi and things like that you usually only find in like one-handed carryables we're adding into boxes. So that's a nice little bonus there you'll be able to find. The greedier you are or the longer you take to get this mission done, the mission grows more and more difficult.
We built a new system, a new module, which we're calling the anti-up system. It allows us to spawn increasingly difficult waves of AI that will approach and attack the player while they're at a location.
The AI coming out of it grow more difficult, like through light, heavy.
Well, that'll be interesting to see, wouldn't it? Those different waves.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty stoked to take my team down there and see how long we can hold out.
Yeah, that will be fun, and I'm also curious to see if the AI is going to actually work with these different waves, because right now they don't really spawn properly, and when they do, most of the time they don't really fight back that hard, and so yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I think it'll be fun. I mean, it creates more of a reason to go and do bunkers again for the millionth time. But You know, I'm hoping that the payout for like the longer that you sit there, I hope it'll be worth it. You know, not just for fun purposes. I hope that it'll actually be lucrative, because even with 2 or 3 or more people, I hope it'll still be worth it. Because right now, doing anything with anybody, it's the split between everybody, it's not worth it sometimes.
Yeah. This is meant to be for a long thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what it seems like, because you're not going to be able to. It seems like you're not going to be able to hold the whole location, you know, for very long by yourself if the waves continue to increase, and you know, you needing to find all these data pads. If you need to find more than 1 or 2, you know, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge. Hopefully, I want them to be hard, because it gives me a reason to keep trying. You know, if they're too easy, then I'm probably not really gonna do it too much. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
it does make it. I agree with you, Joe. It's got to have a challenge to it. If it doesn't have a challenge, it's not worth doing. And also, just like you were saying, the payout, the payout split for doing with a team, it's enjoyable to do it with other people, but then, you know, if you have too many people, you don't get enough. They need to balance that out. I mean,
Well,
the more
the
people
reality,
you have,
hang on.
the more people you have, the larger the payout should be. But it won't work like that. So I don't know.
The reality is, I can go down there in a beacon suit of bunker mission as is. And if I go down there and do a clear criminal nest with a beacon suit, right? What am I risking? Very, very little. And then on top of that, I beat it and I get 20,000 credits. That's not bad. And some of the higher underground mission, right? The payouts can be 55,000, 65,000, 75,000, right? And again, most of them I can do myself in a beacon suit. So the big problem here right now is they need to up the difficulty on it. And the only way to up the difficulty right now is to get the servers to be more responsive. Because even if they put 50 people in a bunker right now, if they spawn, like if they up the ante all the way up to like every door opens and there's 10 people in the door, right? Most player groups, most players can simply hide in corners, use silencers, and then just avoid being detected, and then just headshot all day long.
And that's stealth. That's stealth play. I'm sorry.
Well, that's stealth gameplay, but that still means the difficulty is really, really low. So the only way they can really amp up the difficulty to justify amping up the profit for the larger groups is to increase, make the AIs more tactically minded, and then make them more responsive on the server. These NPCs, they need to be a threat, and right now they're not a threat. They're just not. Even in mass numbers, they're not a threat.
Okay, how's that, Kavinsky? Let me know if that's okay. How you doing, Roland?
I increased it on my end too, so it should be louder.
Well, I turned the gain up on it, so
okay,
that should help. A little more, please. Okay. I don't do a whole lot of the bunkers that often, and when I do it with, you know, the team, and I have a lot of fun doing it that way. And I've done one by myself, and this was before the patch dropped. None of the AI were moving, and it was a turkey shoot.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
so when they're not moving, it's a turkey shoot. Does it matter if there's 50 or 10?
and you're not going to
yeah.
notice. You're not going to notice the increasingly more difficult waves as it goes on, because if the servers are performing bad, it's just going to continue to be a turkey shoot the entire
Right.
time, and
Right.
the more money you're going to make because you're, it's being cheesed, kind of.
Well, I will say this: as a group, we went to the drug mission, where you have to shoot the crates, right? It actually did something right. When we went there, we took out all the enemy first, and then everything spawned in, right? The drugs spawned in, and then we were able to complete it. So those drugs should have been there first, and then we take out the enemy, right? And if you hit one, you ruin the mission.
Yeah.
Has anybody? You guys have run into
That's not how it's supposed to be.
No,
The
it's
enemies, the enemies and the drugs are supposed to be there, and it takes forever for those drugs to spawn. So we just don't even do them. Like we picked up a couple of them, and we had left one behind just to see how long it would take for those drugs to spawn.
not.
Yeah.
It took 22 minutes for those drugs to spawn.
It was kind of fun. I mean, it was kind of fun. Don't get me wrong. I had a good time doing it, but those drugs should have been there when we entered the bunker. Just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're not. So
And I was gonna,
unplayable, in my opinion.
I was gonna say too, like I think the whole consensus that everybody can agree on is, once you've experienced that mission, you don't do them again, unless you just really, really like that mission. But most people that I've run into, they definitely avoid them as well, and that kind of sucks, because it's one of the more interesting missions. The fact that you actually have the drugs there creates another dynamic that's kind of interesting, but you can't really enjoy it.
Kavinsky Refinery is saying normally it's kill NPCs first, then wait for drugs to spawn. I don't think so. I think the drugs are supposed to be there when you enter and you take out the NPCs. And if you hit one of those before it's done.
No. So in 315 and 316 and 317,
okay.
the way it always was you'd go down there, you'd wait on the elevator for just a few minutes, like 2-3 minutes, because there's always been a spawning issue of the drugs spawn.
Okay.
Right. And once the drugs spawned, you had the number counter on top of your screen, then you'd finish entering the facility.
Okay.
And at that point in time, if you killed some drugs during the firefight, it didn't matter because it counted towards the mission. Right.
Okay.
That's the way that was the way those missions are supposed to run.
Okay, so it's bugged.
It's incredibly bugged right
yeah.
now. It was always quasi-bugged because even in 315 and 316, it took a while for those boxes to spawn, but it was like a minute or 2 minutes, right? It was noticeable. You had to wait on the elevator until the numbers were on your HUD and like the mission number was there.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to wait that long.
Okay.
Now you have to wait 22 minutes into the and the drugs are actively spawning during those 22 minutes.
Okay. See, I've always played it where if you shot one of the crates, the thing was dead. It couldn't work.
Yeah. Yes, and that's why you wait for those numbers to show up. Once the numbers show up on the top of your screen, then you can go in there because then it would work. But if you blew a box before those numbers show up, it didn't count towards the mission. Thus, you would never be able to finish the mission.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that's the way I've played it, and to me, it just seems messed up because I always thought that the drugs were supposed to be there, and you were supposed to take out the enemy while they were there.
Yeah. But all the drugs are supposed to be there, and all the enemies are supposed to be there, real time. Whenever you come down the elevator shaft.
Okay.
They never have.
Yeah.
And the old workaround used to be get on the elevator, go down the shaft, wait for the numbers to show up, because then you know for a fact the drugs and the people are there.
Yeah.
Right, and then and only then will you go in. Well, now that wait time is so long.
Yeah.
It's not worth doing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt on this one, but it just popped in my head.
That's a good point.
It makes me think about, because at the moment, with all the bugs and everything that's not supposed to happen within the game right now, it's made me think about how most people haven't experienced this game how it's supposed to be. And so when things start to actually perform better, and you actually, you might have done like one of these missions thousands of times throughout the years, right? And then when things finally start to work, a lot of people are going to start realizing like, oh wow, this is a lot different. I've never experienced it like this before. And you're going to start noticing things that were supposed to happen actually start to happen, and it'll be like experiencing it completely fresh for the first time, which is it'll be like a whole new game, because there's gonna be things about missions that you didn't even know were supposed to happen because it was so bugged,
Well, that's just, I mean, in the time that I've been in the game, I have never done any of the mission giver stuff because it's always been busted.
Yeah. Especially Twitch, I believe. I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
She has one of the more interesting, side quests for you to go on, but a lot of times you can't even get anything from her.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be a total new game loop for me when it works, right?
Having any sort of storyline injected into any mission is going to be like a major deal.
Hang on. Shadow's going to do Twitch missions?
No, he's not.
Maybe.
He's not going to.
No way.
Maybe.
You bad boy.
Maybe.
You dog.
I don't know. You guys go ahead.
Shadow, don't.
No, so
I'll be right
so
back.
I got one idea that's pretty interesting that I'm looking forward to a lot. Like they mentioned in this video about the anti-up piece of it. That anti-up piece is just a method. All that really is a method of spawning enemies, right? What happens if you do a drug mission where you're supposed to blow up the drugs, right? And if you don't get in and get out quickly, those bad guys start to spawn, right? And if you don't, the longer it takes for you to clear those drugs out, the more and more people that will come in and spawn. So now you have reinforcements coming in outside, you have reinforcements coming in inside, right? You could get pinched, you could get in trouble, right? And that creates a possibility of very interesting gameplay of it not just creating a challenge for just takes forever to do the mission. You need to go down there with a large enough folks, with enough people to do the mission, do it fast enough, you get trapped.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you have to have people downstairs to do it. You have people upstairs to fend off, in ships that come in.
Yeah.
Right. It's reinforcement ships that come in. Like, so we have now seen AI ships that will run and call in support for the Crusader security. We've now seen AI ships that will bring in reinforcements. And now we're seeing reinforcements basically potentially infinite spawning NPCs outside or inside. So we've seen the AI is acting, and they're making essentially acting in such a way that all these missions could be added to and made much more complex and made different, mission to mission very easily. Like, again, the AI is not working 100% properly, but they're building it.
Yeah, and I think CIG has definitely made their point when it comes to they put all this stuff in the game, and they're not exactly expecting it to work as long as it's in the game. They're focused on getting just things in and things working to a certain degree, so that way you can actually do something. But they're not going to be focused on polishing any of this stuff until later on down the line after 4.0. And and yeah, I forgot where I was going to go with that, but I'll stop right there. We'll go ahead and play.
Yeah.
Medium armors. The
Oh.
unlawful version.
You saw that armor? I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's the
This?
that's the
That's that. I haven't seen that samurai armor in a long time. You notice the shoulder
I forget.
pads? You used to be able to buy that at Grim Hex. I've never seen a Ninetales version of that. I haven't even seen the normal version.
I always call it EOD, but yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess Ninetales version of it, but yeah, I've seen it.
The unlawful version of this, you're actually acting as the Ninetales, say. So you go into a UGF that's run by securities, and you have to kill the bosses that come out and get the data pad off of those.
I do a lot of bunker missions, so I'm excited to get some more variety in them. Unfortunately, like I play more on the lawful side of things, so if it's like a bunker mission where I have to kill like security guards, I'll be less inclined to do it. But if it's shoot Ninetales and steal their stuff, then yeah, I'm all for it.
So the reputation ladder is going to be tied to these missions. A lot of players care about the reputation ladder themselves in completing that process, but as an extra incentive to climb it, they will unlock the harder tiers of this mission. And in the process of doing so, there will be more data pads that can drop across the mission. It will be more difficult to stay at the location, the more data pads you want to retrieve, and you can sift your way through the mission critical items and the extra items of the things you want, load them up, get them out of the UGF onto your ship and away. So it's going to be all about how much players want to go for the extra bonus loot, whether it's worth the risk of staying if they are low on ammo or are being overwhelmed, or if they have enough friends to bring to them to the location, which versions of the mission that they do. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and it gives players the opportunity to do missions at their own pace and, you know, remain at the location as long as possible as the risk increases.
Oh, here we go.
Okay,
Since
stop
the
right
inception
here.
of the lost system,
We didn't even get into it yet. Goddamn.
Are you already triggered, Shadow? Oh.
I'm not triggered. All I'm saying is this is something that is going to cause a lot of controversy until it's refined.
I don't think it will.
You are wrong, sir.
I think it's generally accepted. I think generally across the board, I think most people are pretty happy with what they're about to say here.
Well, I'm excited for it because there's time. I mean, you come on my ship and I don't know, I'm gonna shoot you. Okay, plain and simple as that. But I think once they explain it a little bit more, maybe I'm missing something. But go ahead and roll that beautiful B-roll.
Let's watch the video, and if you can, point out to us what you think the controversy is going to be when they show it.
I will say this: the one thing I want them to add to all of this is I want them to start adding brigs to ships. You know, I know the capital ships kind of have them, but like I want at least a couple ships that have brigs, because if you get into situations like this where you have someone on board that's not supposed to be there, I want to be able to lock them up. You know, even if it's not necessarily like a room that's meant to be a brig, if I can lock the door, like shove his ass in there, lock the door, you know, and still have that kind of gameplay associated with that, I want to be able to do that. So if you can lock the cockpit doors on some of the ships, then I think you should be able to do that to all the other rooms as well. But that's what I want to add.
I got a funny story about that one, actually.
Go for it.
Just a little side note. I was pirating a C2 the other day. And I get kind of like creative in my hidey holes so that, you know, even if you know I'm on board, you have a hard time finding me. Yeah. So that whenever I do leave the armistice zone, I'll have the jump on you. You won't have the jump on me. So I found a place to hide. There's a little bitty small hidey hole. And I noticed there was a lock icon on the door inside the hidey hole. Mm-hmm. And I was able to lock the door. It was the bathroom on the C2.
Yeah.
Well, when we left the armistice zone, I went to open the door and I couldn't get out. I had locked myself in the bathroom with the C2. I was like, well, but I guess I'm just coming with you then.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine actually having a stowaway on your ship and that person accidentally locks himself in a room somewhere. You know, you get to have all the fun you want with this guy.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
We've had the issue where if someone trespassed on your ship, you would first be given away by the chat system saying that you joined the ship.
Gives your position away straight away. I've always disliked that notification, and it pops up whenever you enter any ship, not just your own. We had that popping up all the time when you went aboard the Javelin, say, in the Fleet Week. So I'm happy to say that we're changing that now so that you'll only see that notification if you are a member of a party of the owner whose ship you're going aboard.
With the new implementation of the trespass system, the chat will no longer give you away, but it's not all benefits for the trespasser, because now the pilot can defend their ship without legal repercussions, which makes the trespasser at risk at all times.
We've basically made the interior of ships a trespass area for anyone who hasn't been invited aboard, and by invited we mean in a party with the owner of a ship. So imagine there are two players, they're in a party together, and then there's a third, like, trying to sneak aboard. The owner obviously
I love that
enters the
animation.
ship
I don't know why.
as normal, doesn't see anything. The party member, same, steps aboard, doesn't see anything. This third player trying to sneak aboard will see a private property warning, and then be trespassing. But, you step off, a few seconds later, that's fine. No one's allowed to shoot you anymore. Could have been a mistake.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of mistakes, I'll tell
But
you
if
that.
you stay aboard, you're
Yeah.
just lawfully be allowed to be attacked by any owner of that ship or their party.
With you having the trespass settings for you and your party on the ship now, it just adds a little bit more of a risk for people who are trying to potentially grief or simply play through that gameplay loop, and they will know that they're trespassing and feel that extra danger when they board somebody else's ship as they are in a monitored area.
We're really excited to give you guys this. It's been a long time coming, we know, but it was just not as simple as the trespassing around areas, which was just a simple action area. This has so many edge cases, as you can imagine. You can actually nest trespassing, so you can have someone else's ship aboard your ship, and you can be in a trespass area, and we have to figure out, like, which trespass trumps the other trespassers. We also have to build in precautions.
That's my concern is,
Yes.
Your Pisces inside of a Carrack. If someone goes on board the Pisces, are they trespassing? Someone.
Are they in the party?
That's my question. Whether
Well, like the
so
way he was describing it, it sounded like that. Let's say you're using your Carrack and my Pisces, for example. The way he was describing it, it sounded like the ships are trespass areas. So as long as I'm in my Pisces, I don't get out of my Pisces, I am lawful to be where I am, right? If I exit my Pisces into your ship, then I would be trespassing. And if you exit your ship and get onto my Pisces, you'd be trespassing. Now, the only caveat there that I can think of that might maybe cause an issue is if I was in my Pisces, your Carrack, and I open up the back door of my ship and we have shootout. I'm legal to be where I'm at. You're legal to be where you're at. Who gets a crime stat? Do we both get a crime stat?
yeah,
Like that kind of thing. In those situations, it's a little bit wonky.
yeah,
But those are very much edge cases. Generally speaking, if there's a Pisces in my Carrack, the person's in my party.
most likely. But there are the situations where people want to work with each other, but don't want to abandon each other's parties to join each other's party. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe because you're working with another big orc and you've already got your own big party, but that person, for whatever reason needs to land on your ship or, coordinate somehow on your ship. Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. And then there's the other part where if you're not like a lawful player and you board their ship that way without them knowing, land, which it doesn't happen very often, then it kind of goes into that thing where, they could kind of like play it to their advantage a little bit.
Also, the only time, well, here's the thing. Usually if you're working together, even if you're causing a trespass does not mean crime stat. Trespass just means you're trespassing and can be killed legally. If you're working with them, they're not looking to kill you, and in which case you're safe. You're fine. Trespass does not mean automatically shoot on sight. Trespass does not mean crime stat. Trespass does not mean death. Trespass just means they can choose to, if they choose to take that action, kill you.
Yeah.
Now, what would be interesting to me, the only situation that I can think of, going back to the Carrack Pisces example, is I've taken my Pisces and I've boarded a Carrack before, of someone else's Carrack. And generally speaking, the purpose of me boarding that Carrack is to actively take control of that Carrack, to actually board the Carrack. So that edge case of me shooting from inside my Pisces out to somebody in the Carrack won't last too long, because generally speaking, the moment I'm down, I'm getting out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it is an edge case. It would be interesting what happens, but I don't think it'll be as big of a deal. If that makes sense.
Now, does this also extend to ground vehicles too?
I'm pretty certain it does.
Let's say you get into someone else's Cyclone. What is that? What is it going to do?
I bet.
Because they haven't brought that up yet, so I can see it possibly maybe not making it in for a ground vehicle yet, but.
No, I bet it would be ground vehicles. I bet money it'll be ground vehicles.
I hope so.
Because
I hope so. You're gonna be
you
running
hop
around,
into someone else's.
You're gonna technically steal their vehicle. Because it's just gonna be you in a Cyclone running around, and it's gonna say trespassing the entire time while you're driving around.
Yeah,
and
they don't discuss it in the video.
It doesn't.
Kavinsky, no.
It doesn't. The other person might not even realize that he might be like inside of. He might be inside at a trade terminal, trading some stuff, and the guy is out there doing donuts in his Cyclone or driving off to the sunset, So the trespassing doesn't really mean much when you steal a Cyclone, right? But even it's weird. So there's almost no point to have that trespassing for like a Cyclone. I could see maybe for like a like a Ballista or Spartan or something.
But vehicles, when they're taken, okay, vehicles, you should get some notification your vehicle is stolen. Come on.
No, I mean, you wouldn't.
Come on,
you
man.
wouldn't in
Come
real
on,
life.
man. Come on.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't in real life.
It's the future. You gotta know when your vehicle
No.
is taken. Come on.
No.
Why? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It makes perfectly good sense. It doesn't. No, it
doesn't. Doesn't know.
If your ship is broken into, if your vehicle is broken or snatched, you're not gonna be alerted.
No.
What rock are you crawled under? Come on, man. You know when your vehicle is being taken today.
If someone is no, I don't.
You don't get an alarm?
No, my
have
Prius
an alarm on your ship?
My Prius does not phone home to my cell phone and say, by the way, I'm driving off right now.
Oh, come on,
like
man.
It may make a noise and an alert.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, Zoo.
It may make a noise if
a car
please, hang
alarm.
on.
Come on, man.
Hang on. If it's broken into, right? If it's physically broken into, but if I leave that door open and someone else just hops into the driver's seat, and I'll leave the engine spun up.
This is why
Cyclone don't have doors either.
don't have doors.
Yeah, exactly. So
certain vehicles should have this, dude.
When you're doing damage to someone's ship, you get a notification, like the owner gets a notification, so and so damaging your ship. Do you want to give them a crime stat? Right?
You damn right.
That message is already in game, right? But if they sneak aboard and hop in the pilot seat and just go, right? If I leave the engines on, if I leave the door open, and they just walk in and fly off.
That's a different story.
But that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
that's talking about
different.
Breaking and entering. We're talking about trespassing.
If you leave it open, you're begging to get jacked.
But that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about breaking and entering. We're just talking about being there.
There is still a difference. Come on, man. Come on.
There is a difference. I completely agree with you.
Breaking in the ship is illegal, right?
I personally, with this, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence whether it should have some sort of like alarm or something, being notified that someone that's not supposed to be in there is in there. It kind of would make sense that if that person is breaking into your vehicle, gets a trespassing notification, that means there is a system in place that is telling that person, hey, you're not supposed to be there. So why would that same system not tell you that person's where he's not supposed to be? Why would it notify the guy? Why would it notify the guy that's not supposed to be there that he's trespassing? But why would it not tell you?
Because that HUD's piece is his own computer in his own piece, right? It detects that the lore wise, right?
Okay, well, he would be able to disable
you're
that.
entering space,
right?
We're saying, no. So right here, that person who's trespassing is entering a facility that he's not supposed to be in. His suit, his computer, his whatever that's on his person that's working for his interest is telling him, just so you know, you're not supposed to be here.
And
right,
someone like him probably would not wear a suit that has something like that built in, integrated in. He would wear a suit.
No. He would. It would. And this is what is happening. It's not communicating with the ship and the ship saying you're not supposed to be in here. That suit is saying, I don't recognize this ship that you're in as one of yours. You're probably trespassing. So it's not communicating with the ship anyway.
See, and this is where I think we're kind of trying to fill in the gaps where there are gaps, trying to make it make sense, but we don't know, so we don't know what the intention is with CIG or how the system is supposed to function lore-wise,
Think about it like this, right? Think about it like this. If I set up my cell phone to basically tell me, where can I where can I be, where can I not? If I say my house, my geographic location is my property.
Vranish has a point.
I say
there.
What is it? So there's.
So if he's in the nude, then I shouldn't be getting trespassed. See? Yeah, that's a good point. Because I guarantee you're still gonna get the trespassing notification when you're naked. Does your boxers, does your briefs have the technology in it?
I bet you won't. You'll still be trespassing. No, what I'm saying. If you have the contact lenses in, but right now we don't have that.
They are in the game though. If you go to the what is it called, factory line in New Babbage, they can be bought. Yeah,
but you can't wear them.
Right, but still.
Right.
And in the future, those are going to give you different HUD elements, depending on which ones you buy.
Those are all self-containing. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Even my cell phone, right? My cell phone, unless if I walk into someone else's house, if my cell phone doesn't connect to the Wi-Fi for that house, or if that house doesn't have a sensor that detects me in that location physically, I can set up my cell phone where it absolutely will not talk to the house It will not confirm anything with the house. It won't tell the house that I'm there, but it will recognize the fact that I'm at a geographic location to where I shouldn't be and could then alert me personally. Like, these systems are going to be a lot more self-contained, at least in the game, than you think they are initially. It's not. We're kind of overthinking this a bit, but that's functionally how it's going to be. Is our suit, the contact lenses, whatever you want to call them, are going to be self-contained, communicating for the benefit of the wearer, not for the benefit of those around.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of gray areas that CIG still need to cover, but I think we're.
Oh yeah, I completely agree.
We're definitely.
I can give you a gray area.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry to interrupt.
What?
There has been an update to the knowledge base for Public Test Universe and install Star Citizen PU. So they're working on something.
Okay.
For the 200 test. But sorry, just letting people know.
So they're doing it in the PTU. Gotcha. So I can give you an example of an edge case where something might be concerning. So what happens if I'm trading a trading ship, right? And someone sneaks aboard and they're not part of my party. I don't know they're there, and I can't buy cargo or I can't sell cargo, right? What happens if something like this where they're sneaking aboard and me and my group are perfectly lawful? We're entering Port Olisar or we're going to Port Tressler, and there's somebody snuck on board that has a bounty, right? Will the station know they're on board? You know, I could be approaching Port Olisar thinking I'm perfectly fine because none of my party members have stats, and all of a sudden the station starts lighting me up for no reason, or apparently no reason. That could be interesting. What I hope.
I don't think the station. I feel like that's where the override of like it should be able to detect like, okay, this is a ship and the owner of the ship is in there and he himself doesn't have a crime stat. So I feel like that should go into like the smuggling gameplay where you should be able to, if you yourself doesn't have a crime stat, you should be able to smuggle people with crime stats in your ship without getting shot down. Well,
see, that's kind of what I would agree with that statement. And that goes back to the reason why I'm pushing the idea of your devices are not communicating with the ship automatically. Because I think what's happening, at least lore-wise, for the purposes of the game, would be you're approaching the armistice zone, you're approaching a station, and your station communicates with your ship, and your ship goes, these are all the people that I have connected to the voice channel of the ship. People who are supposed to be on board this ship, right? AKA the party, right? Those people are the people getting scanned. Those people, they're like that's the shipboard personnel count that gets handed over to the station, and the station says all perfectly fine and legitimate. If you do a deep scan, if you stop for a scan, and a Crusader Securities will scan the ship, then they could see somebody who is not part of that group, and then maybe they would open fire, or then they would then notify you that someone's on board that's not supposed to be there. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
But if there is somebody on board my ship with a crime stat, I'm not aware of that. I don't want a station to light me up.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And you know, when you think about other universes, sci-fi universes that kind of like deal with the situation, it's if you have someone on board that's not supposed to be there, that's the reason why, you know, you would land somewhere and then they would actually have like a boarding party come on board. You see it in Star Wars all the time where they physically search, you know, in the cracks and crevices, you know, if you got somebody in there you're not supposed to. But yeah.
Well, okay, this is where you have security details. Walk that ship before you take off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's another precaution that people are going to have to take in the future, you know, actually have someone look around your ship.
Yeah.
So I completely agree.
So
they're just giving us more and more.
You're lured aboard a ship, you're invited to a party, and then they kick you from the party.
you'll still be allowed to be aboard that ship until you leave. It's just that you won't
That's another
be
good
allowed
addition.
to defend that ship lawfully anymore. Also, if you hurt anyone aboard that ship, you will instantly then be trespassing.
Sorry,
as
Joe, I
well,
missed
and they'll
what
be
you
able to shoot
said.
you back.
Huh?
I missed what you said about that comment where they were
It's a
talking
great addition.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great addition.
Yeah.
Now I can see where, you know, maybe you start a party with some people you haven't met from the game. To you know, maybe you're just getting some help with something. You know, maybe you have a mole and you want to fill it up with some people from the chat, and they join your party, and someone turns out to be an asshole, or you know, doing something they're not supposed to. So you're like, no. So you kick them from the party.
Yeah.
Now, are you not allowed to defend yourself at that moment? Because like they said that they're not trespassing until they leave. If you kick this person from the party and they refuse to leave, can you defend yourself?
Store the ship. Store the ship.
You said stow the ship?
Yeah, store the ship.
But if you're in a mole out on a moon somewhere and you kick this person because they're abusing their beam privileges, and the guy gets upset and, you know, starts meleeing people or something while you're trying to pilot or something.
First thing, the moment you do damage to somebody, you're trespassing, and now you can defend yourself. But because he said that, he said
But
if
you need to get injured. By the time you get injured,
Right.
that's going to be too late.
Well, again, if you make it where you don't wait to get injured, that could create abuse.
Yeah.
You know, you can invite someone to the party, they enter your ship, and then you kick them from the party and kill them instantly. Like that's not fair. Like if they're not being unreasonable, they're not attacking you, they're not doing damage to you, that's an unreasonable expectation. That's a new player being griefed right there. That's griefing.
Yeah.
Right? That is the legitimate definition of griefing. That is baiting and trapping griefing. If you have it where they have to do damage first, right? That's when you want to say, have a crew. Maybe you don't kick them from the party immediately. Maybe you play along. Maybe you get back to the station and then you kick them out of the party. That creates that risk reward.
Let me show you something outside of the ship real quick, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then close the door on them and then fly away. Hey,
and there's a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the channel, XD Gamer. Sorry, Zook, go ahead.
And there's a lot of things you can do. Like, for example, if you just knock someone out, for example, and try to bring them outside the body, outside of the ship within the 8 seconds that it takes for them to wake up, they're outside the ship. And yeah, you'll get a crime stat, but you'll get like a little $32,000 fine for assault, but you won't be shot on sight, right? You'll be level 1 crime stat. And that's it, right? You'd have to completely dead kill the guy before you get a level 3 crime stat. Remember, so you can shoot the guy and incapacitate the guy, and yeah, you're going to get a fine. You're going to get like a level 2 crime stat, but he wouldn't be a threat. And then you can take him outside of the ship, lay him on the surface of Walla, and say, "Good luck, bud. Have a good life," and drive off. I mean, it's not like you can't do anything. It's just that you got to be measured in your response.
Yeah, I agree. And this is where the non-lethal weapons, whenever we get those in game, they're going to play a big part too. You know, so like getting the taser guns and stuff like that, or handcuffs or something. So, yeah.
Lawfully. It's taken a lot more work than even we originally thought it would, but it's just going to be a real game changer.
It finally gives ship owners the right to defend themselves on their ships and fight back against the pesky pirates we have out there.
Now, I'm excited for this, the heist.
One of the things farther ahead that we're working on is barge heist. It's basically taking what we know to be popular and fun in this game, so something like Jump Town, but we're making it have a finite resource and a much more interesting location
What we're doing is allowing players to buy in information similar to how some of the salvage contracts work. And from there, they get the information about where this cargo barge is, owned by Crusader, and happens to be just in the middle of this heist situation where the Ninetales are taking it over and they're trying to take all this stuff from Crusader.
It's the barge that we use in Siege of Horizon, heavily modified, so there'll be lots of entrances and exits. What's great about using the barge is that we can put it anywhere on Crusader, you know, far away from the landing zones or anything that, you know, may cause performance to dip. So there should be no performance impacts.
We've placed a terminal, a cargo terminal, inside of the container interior of the barge. And when players find this terminal, they can turn it on to open various containers using different kinds of ID codes found in the environment.
Basically, you unlock several cargo containers belonging to different companies, and different companies have different items in there.
So hopefully, players will learn which containers might contain what types of materials based on the brands, right? Crusader Industries is transporting completely different types of loot than maybe, say, ArcCorp is.
The cargo containers open all in different rooms around that location. You're fighting over every single box, trying to hold down like a room. There's no way you can hold down the entire thing unless you hold all the entrances. The location is so, like so much of a maze. You'll have people stumbling in and out of it and lots of people wondering, you know, oh, is this person here to steal a box or is he just trying to get through to the next room?
What we really wanted to achieve with this is give the players complete freedom of which side to take. You don't take a contract from Crusader asking for help, or from Ninetales wanting you to help them to take something.
In future, when we have reputation-based hostility and you can make friends with these guys, they will be your cover. So I can see plenty of exciting PvP action that's going to come from this mission. So that's a brief look at some of the things the mission team has.
So I'm excited. I'm excited personally. I've been ever since they introduced the barge with Siege of Orson. That's like, I think, my favorite place in the verse. It's just that one barge. I love how they did it. That's the thing. Is a lot.
Not
of
allowed
people,
to go there, Shadow.
A lot of people.
Say what?
Not allowed to go there, Shadow. You have to be this good to get there.
Really? So that's how you are. Okay, I see. No, it's all good. It's all good. Damn.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll take you there, bud. It's okay. It's okay.
You working?
Hold on.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. But yeah, I've been wanting them to do something like this with that location since they introduced it, because it kind of is hard to get there before someone else gets there, because there are people that speed run Siege of Orson all the time, and there are like orgs that do this specifically to try to figure out how fast they can go, and then after they speed run it, it doesn't pop back off for like another hour.
You have to leave.
So yeah,
you have to leave.
Everybody has to leave, and then it takes like an hour or more sometimes for the mission to come back up and run again. So it sucks for the people who are kind of like late to the game, because especially me, I'll get there maybe because, you know, people got to set up and it takes time, and by the time you get there, it's almost done. So you only get a quarter of the way through. Once it's complete, you end up having to leave, and you don't want to wait for the mission to pop up again. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna go server hop. So you server hop, go to a different one, and it ends up they're halfway done with their mission, and then so you're just in this huge loop of, you know, hit or misses on different servers on whether you can perform the mission all the way through or not. And
yeah, the only times I can reliably get to there, Josh, you said, is absolutely when my group's at the rooftop waiting for the mission to pop off. Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the only way I can get there most of the time.
And to me, that's a major flaw in this specific dynamic event, because I rarely have fun playing the mission just because of that. and a lot of people don't get a chance to go see the barge, or by the time they get to the barge, you know, right when they get there, there's plenty of time where right when I get there, the mission completes, you know, because they finished it. So,
and that's why I think we've mentioned this before briefly, but I want to reiterate that point just because I think it's a really good point of I wish there was more to the mission so that people in the later part of the mission will feel like they're contributing.
Yeah.
And an example they could do this for is if they had it where if a team, if the Ninetales was trying to retake Solanke platform, let's say they fight all the way to the admin terminal, if the Ninetales could retake Solanke platform, reactivate that IFF responder device, right? Now that would cause the people in the admin terminal to have to wait. So now it's not just you need to take all three platforms and then go to admin. You have to maintain control of all three platforms, which means that team on Solanke platform is playing an integral role, even if they came in late, even if they're just sitting still fighting Ninetales. You know, what they're doing is required for the mission to be successful. If that makes sense. Like I wish they do something similar to that, because I think Shadow's right. Like most people, unless they're sitting there waiting for the mission to kick off, is never going to see the admin terminal, is never going to see the barge.
I personally, this is how I would like to see it, since they expressed that they're going to be spreading more locations out around Orison. It'd be nice if Siege of Orison had multiple locations, not just that one. So that way, once one is completed, maybe another team of Ninetales, you know, they go to a different set of platforms and they end up taking that over. And so once it's completed the first time, it's ready to be done at a different platform immediately after, instead of it taking time for this specific location to despawn everything, reset, and the system has to acknowledge it's been completed and everybody's been paid and all that stuff, and then it has to slowly spin up again, you know. And depending on server performance, it's probably going to take a long time. So if they immediately after that, they already have another platform ready to go for Siege of Orison, it could just spin right up. Or, you know, lore-wise, they can work into the story like, oh, okay, maybe they took multiple, like 2 or 3 different locations instead of just that one location, and requiring people to, you know, you could funnel everybody to one location, get paid for completing that one location, and then moving on to the other set of locations, and just it being one long thing.
Well, again, I think that would still allow people to just blow through them and get onto the later missions, the later parts of it quicker. I think you should have something there that would cause people that come in later to have a purpose for the overall mission, even if they're coming in later. Like, just straight up, you need something there that at each one of the platforms. Like, and I do like the Siege of Orison single location to be like a server-wide event. So it's not just one org. It's large enough where everybody in the server could participate at each one of the locations. That's going to benefit everybody. You just got to have a reason for someone who's coming in late to contribute to the mission while not being at that final location, so that they can enjoy the mission and be part of it, as opposed to just catching up.
Yeah.
I think having it kick off somewhere else. I think having like I think Shadows suggested in the past about having like a smaller scale Siege of Orison, where say they're just taking one platform and you and your team has to clear the platform.
Yes.
All the platforms, but just that one platform. A cool idea. I think that would be a very actually excellent idea. But as far as I like having a server-wide or shard-wide or system-wide event that would encompass all of them. You just got to make sure that there's enough to do on platforms simultaneously to justify it being that large and on that large of a scale.
With server caps on the rise, you know, I mean, it's only going to get completed faster and faster, you know. So if they do manage to to successfully get 200 people in game, and it works to a certain extent, then that just means that a lot of these dynamic events are going to end up being easier and easier to complete.
Mhm.
Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back.
But also,
How would you feel? Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Zook. You had a question.
I wanted to pick your mind about that suggestion that we just made.
Yeah.
If they set up, let's say they did Siege of Orison,
Yeah.
but they set it up where if you don't defend Solanki, the very first platform,
Yeah.
if you don't defend it from Ninetales, Ninetales could make their way into that IFF responder
Yeah.
and reactivate it, which cause the mission to maybe not necessarily reset, but cause the admin station to
It would.
the lieutenant
Yeah.
not to spawn.
Yeah. Well,
Would you feel happy sitting at Solanki, or even if you come in later, staying at Solanki to defend that one location?
but see, this is the thing. Once it's completed, there's nothing there. If something, if Ninetales reinforces that area, that gives players the option to do something. I like
Yeah,
that
but
idea.
would you like the idea of potentially staying at Solanki and then just constantly killing waves of Ninetales while someone else is dealing with the admin part?
Well, I would like to see it to where if you conquer that area, right, and some other players come to that area, you move on, then it starts up again where that area has to be cleared.
Yeah,
that would be cool. I would enjoy that.
I think some people would absolutely enjoy like being assigned to Solanki, saying
Yeah.
your job is to keep this area clear. And like for example,
Yeah.
I know my org, we had a group, we're not a massive group, but we basically had two teams that were securing the entrance of Solanki.
Yeah.
Allowing whenever new players would come through, we would clear out that first like encounter for them, allow them to move on, and then we would secure and hold the tram to the last platform, to Heartmoor, to the last platform, to allow newer players to come in and go there safely.
Yeah.
Right. And we had a second team that would basically bull rush through it to Heartmoor and activate that tram. Right. I could definitely see, a group of players enjoying the concept of like, this platform is our platform. We are organized to secure this platform.
Yeah.
Someone else is doing something else somewhere else, right?
Right. Well, they're advancing. Okay.
They're advancing. They're doing something else. We're holding this location.
And we're holding this location to keep it clear so others can move on. That I like that.
Yeah. Keeping it clear, keeping it secure, and keeping the IFF down.
And then on the next platform, the same scenario could be done.
So you think you would enjoy that though?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Even if you never got to the barge, would you feel like you would enjoy that?
Well, I would have fun with it, but eventually I'd love to go to the barge. But yeah,
eventually it'll be your turn.
Yeah, because if another group comes to the area, right, and you let them know, hey, we're gonna move on. Will you defend this area until the next group comes in? You know what I'm saying? So
that would also create a reason to communicate in between groups.
Yeah. So that makes more sense to me than just everybody running through it and it's done.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I would love to do that. Do a couple rounds protecting the area. Then when another group comes in, let them know, hey, we're moving on. Can you take care of this area while we move on? And then when another group comes, you can move on. It's a constantly moving thing. And that's fun to me. That's fun. I could deal with that.
Sorry, you're talking about relying on other people to get things down? for progression to be made, because I don't know, that could be an issue to a point.
It could be an issue, but it would be something that makes more sense than just
It needs
it being run through and it's done.
it needs to be
If
something.
you're earning,
There needs to be incentive for a certain group to like complete different objectives.
yeah,
Because if someone just absolutely just sucks, or goes AFK, and they have a specific objective and it doesn't end up getting completed, it needs to be able to be picked up by another group of players or something like that to go complete.
well, that's what it is. That's the system-wide mission.
Yeah.
They're giving like 4%, and basically the team that's right. If you're on that platform and the IFF is down, every 5 minutes you give money, right? A little bit, right? Well, you usually your fair rep to get now, right? Whereas, now it's just if you're in no. If you're on that platform, and I have that up, you hit it on that 9,000 credit up, you get that bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have that bonus for one, you have bonus for hard work, you have the bonus for wood, my bonus for animation, or whatever. And then at the end of it, if you were on one of the platforms, you get a big bonus at the end of it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the idea, and I think it would be fun. And I'm not overly concerned with like relying on other people, because there'd be enough other people that somebody would be able to do it. If you ever play Battlefield or a Battlefield type game, like generally speaking, somebody's trying to accomplish what you get accomplished, especially if it's like a PvP mission.
Yeah, I agree.
Been working on recently. We can't wait to get in your hands, especially the ship trespass system. That's going to change the game completely. And yeah, I'm really excited about Barge Heist, so thanks for watching.
Of course, as always, you're going to want to check out the public roadmap at the robertspaceindustries.com website for details on when each aspect of their continuing work gets scheduled for a specific release. And as for what we learned this week,
You know why he popped up, right?
I have no idea.
So you guys remember the end of the ISC where Jared's playing with his sticks?
Yes.
When he was doing that same guy accidentally walked through, like was about to walk through while Jared was shooting the outro.
Yeah, I remember.
And he quickly turned around, so they had him come back for this. To do it again.
Nice.
Well, we learned that more platforms means more opportunities for adventure across the gaseous surface of the planet Crusader. That salvage gameplay can be utilized in interesting and creative ways to create new mission types. And that whenever that trespass system comes online, a new day for shipboarding PvP arrives with it. Yeah, it's one we've all been waiting for. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week.
Okay. Did they do a thing again? Oh, yeah. They
did something.
Yeah.
Every time we talk to the folks on the mission feature team, they've always got a number of interesting irons in the fire. And they pursue work on the upcoming Alpha 320 and beyond. Updates on a few new features they're working on, including one improvement to the new law system that is going to be a long time coming. You're going to want to check out the public roadmap for robertspaceindustries.com website. That salvage gameplay can be utilized in interesting...
For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for exploring the process of the game development with us, and we'll see you here next week.
All right.
Look, Jared, even he can do your job. God.
Yeah, replace him immediately. No, I like Jared a lot. So he adds a lot of personality, even though it's kind of quirky sometimes.
Yeah.
A bit cringe sometimes, but I like Jared overall. Now, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. There's a couple people that I've talked to that were there when Jared first got there and started doing the whole community stuff. And he wasn't very likable. like I think he was stressed out or something. He was taking things too seriously, I think. And yeah, I heard he was kind of a not the funnest person to watch. But yeah, well, regardless, I think he's doing a good job now. So, but okay, so yeah, we talked about a bunch of the new missions and talked about trespassing and the 200 player cap count for servers, and talked about a little bit about CitizenCon a little bit. So anything else you guys want to talk about before we stop the show?
Not for me. Are there any questions from the audience?
Well,
what about you, Shadow?
Ship development.
Oh, you want to know the ships that they're working on at the moment?
XD just asked about ship development.
Yeah. That's what I was asking about.
Yeah, can you clarify what you mean by that, bud?
They're working on a whole slew of ships right now, so a lot of good ones. They're working on the Polaris. They're working on the Santokyai, the Raylan, the Spirit series, of course. The Hull C is about to be out here soon.
The SRV is finishing up.
SRV.
Should be done.
X1.
Like I saw that the Spirits were almost done with their gray box, but I also saw the Hull C as being almost done.
Yes.
Yeah, there's generally like 8 to 10 ships or vehicles that are in production at any given time. Some of them are announced, some of them are not. The Hull C has been pretty much done for a while. It's just been waiting on some pluckers to get into the game. And in 320, that should be done, and so it should be in the game in 320. If you watch the last show we did, me and Shadow breaks down the Hull C video where they did a deep dive on the Hull C. The last ISC, not this one, but the one before that was a big, like, these are the ships we're working on.
Yeah.
ISC.
And you talk about Hull C potentially breaking the economy. There is a little bit of a worry from the community about that, for sure. But you know, I would like to think that CIG have some sort of temporary fix for that, and for just in the moment until they get Quanta more of a thing in the game. They haven't touched on it yet, so they didn't really say how the Hull C is going to impact the economy. So I'm kind of hoping that there's going to be another, either like a live Q&A type of thing about it, or when it comes closer to that, or another IIC talking about the features that support the Hull C for 320. I still think it's going to be a little bit of time before 320 gets out there. So I think there's still plenty of time for them to come out and talk more about it. But yeah, there is a little bit of a worry. I'm worried too. So this has been a hot discussion, you know, for a long time now, you know.
Well, it's been a big thing ever since the Hull C started getting closer to completion. And a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people are freaked out. It's like,
yeah,
it's gonna happen. You know, let it go. Don't freak out. You know,
well, that's what I said last time. They would have to basically make a few changes.
Yeah.
One of the two changes that they had to make is either I can sell cargo that my friends bought legally without it being stolen, or they're going to have to make some kind of goods or services that stations would want to buy and sell from each other. Yeah. One of the two will have to happen. I'm not sure which one. We'll have to see. But one of them will have to happen. And as far as Phantom was talking, the Phenom, sorry. The subject for next week would basically be, we don't know yet, because they post their weekly plans on Monday.
Yeah.
And that's if they know what the plans are. Sometimes they post an ISC, say, we don't know which one it's going to be, but there's going to be an ISC. And then we, generally speaking, we talk about what's that ISC is talking about, or if there's no ISC, well, generally there's some kind of a leak or news that comes out from the community, and we generally talk about that.
We talk about whatever's relevant for that week, you know. So if something pops up like the day before we, you know, we stream an episode, we'll talk about that too. So yeah.
Like at the beginning of this episode, we talked about the leak of a potential 200 player servers that they're going to be testing soon, although that hasn't been officially announced yet.
I'm also confused about why they delayed the Spirit Progress Tracker to mid-December, because as far as I know, all of them are done with their gray box. There's one reason why they had to wait for the tractor beam technology to be completed before they drop that, and also transport. I'm speculating, but the transport technology or missions,
passenger?
Yeah, for passengers for the E1. So there's certain things that those ships do. They're not going to put them out yet until their purpose is there.
I can see also that whatever ships are, you know, because we're past Alien Week now and Invictus, so I would imagine that whatever ships, even if they're done now, they would wait for them to be released until either CitizenCon or IAE, so that way they could be a part of a big event.
Well,
agreed.
Spirit dropped at CitizenCon, so I have a feeling that one's going to reveal or become flyable. Maybe become flyable. Yeah.
I think whenever we see the Spirit again next, I think it will be flyable. Whether it's one of them or all of them, I don't know, but
I think it'll be partial. I think the A1 and the C1 will be flyable pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even as soon as 3.20.
Mm-hmm.
But the E1 it'll be a while.
It's gonna be pretty massive if they decide to release all three of them all at once. That's gonna be whatever sale that ends up landing on. There's gonna be a lot of money being made because that's a very highly anticipated group of ships there.
Because personally, I am gonna get myself an A1.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and the M2 and the A2 are gonna be bought in game.
There's a lot of people that won't be able to help themselves, and they're gonna buy all three. You know, they're like, I don't know which one. Just buy all of them.
Right.
And then I honestly think that whatever next ship sale that we have, that one's going to include the whole C will be out by then, I think. So people are going to either be buying the whole C, one or a couple of the Spirits, and then
the SRV.
Potentially the SRV. So this might be one of the biggest ship sales, you know, for around CitizenCon or IAE this year. They're going to be, it's going to skyrocket, I think.
Well, the Storm is close to is coming out of gray box.
That too. That'll be drivable probably next as well, because that was progressing along. And the Sentaki Eye will probably be, well, actually, no. They just
pretty soon.
Well, they said that it's been delayed because they were having some issues with the cockpit, the dashboard.
Yeah, but that delay is not going to be a year-long delay, though.
They made it seem like it was going to be quite a while. They definitely, the way they communicated it seemed like it's going to take a little bit.
But not. It sounded more like a month or two.
I hope so.
Like on the back end, we may still be 3 or 4 months before a ship sale comes around to where they would include it. Like, for example, we may not see it until IAE, but I'd be willing to bet we'll see it at IAE.
Yeah. The end of the year, this year is going to be pretty big as far as ships released and hopefully features. You know, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Our predictions and stuff for CitizenCon.
This year's already been a pretty good year so far, honestly.
It has, and the fact that PES is finally starting to level itself out and get better with each iteration. So it is progressing nicely now that we've gone over the big hurdle of PES initially launching.
Yeah, the hardest part is like we said last year. The hardest part was going to be the initial drop, and it was. The initial drop was horrible, but it's starting to come to fruition. It's gotten a lot more stable in the patches that have come after 3.18. So I'm very pleased with the progress.
He said, I hope that they plan on doing some performance fixing near 320. Well, the thing about that is they are always doing performance fixes. Even right now, they're constantly that's something that they constantly battle every single day with the servers and everything. So it's not like they only plan for certain patches to have performance fixes. It's all the time. So whether you see it or not.
Yeah, they're doing something all the time.
Yeah.
They're not
they
don't take their break until December.
Yeah.
So
we just don't see some of it.
Right. Even though ISC and it takes its hiatus, there's always something going on. So
there are so many bugs, and server degradation going on always, to the point where you're always going to be focused on that more than any sort of small fixes that happen in the moment. You're not really going to notice that. There's going to be times where you might notice it, but I think all the negatives kind of outweigh everything else most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that about wraps it up, doesn't it? So, you guys got anything else before we kick it off? Any final thoughts from you guys?
No, I mean, as far as stability has gone since 319 dropped, 319.1 dropped. It did have its issue, but then it recovered and it's been very stable. There are some lag points, and now that Jumptown is running, I have not seen major slowages like we saw before when we had events.
So you've seen it's performing better than it was?
Yes.
With Jumptown?
Yes.
Okay. That's good.
I do have a story I want to tell. Just it's not so much the thought process, but it's a bit of a PES magical moment that I think really made this game a little bit more special for me, even more than it already was.
Okay.
And it happened literally just a few hours ago before this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing around, just trying to have some fun, and I went to Korea to just do some loot. I have enough reputation with Crusader security where I can actually go there without there being an event going. And I went there with my saber, not expecting much, but I found several SCU boxes with a bunch of stuff in it. So this is a really, really cool opportunity, but I didn't go there with a ship that was able to actually carry it. I was in a saber.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking around for a way to actually carry this stuff out. And there were some dead ship carcasses all around. But then I recognized one, it was a broken down C2. I was like, wait a second, that looks like the C2 that my good buddy Box Swapper flies.
Ah.
And a couple days ago, he actually died approaching C2 and approaching Korea in a C2. So I look at it, it's like, sure enough, it matches the ballistic repeaters that he put on his C2. It matches the paint. I was like, he keeps the Pisces in his C2.
Well, you can
So-
open up comms and see it, right? See that his name is attached to the
Yeah,
ship. Right?
well, it was full death. It was dead. So
Ah, okay.
it wasn't like it was closed. It was open. So I went inside, and sure enough, I found a damaged but workable Pisces R that he keeps in his C2. And I found it. I was able to board it, and it said Box Swappers C Pisces, right? And all I did was to take it to the pad, load up all the stuff that I had found, got the stuff out of there, take it back to the station, and was actually able to return his Pisces to him.
Nice.
That's great.
That's nice.
And he didn't
so
have to. He
that
didn't have
was-
to claim it or anything. Yeah.
I mean, it's a Pisces, so like he didn't, it wouldn't have been that big of a cost. But the fact that that kind of game loop exists, like
Being able
that's
to
a doable thing.
being able to find your friend's ship and return it to him, and be it while you also utilize its functionality. After it's been there for how many days? It's
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often in video games. Actually, I don't know of another video game where you can actually do that.
That's pretty cool. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
That was a really cool experience, and I'm just like, I was laughing my butt off the entire time. Like, I cannot believe this is happening. This is so cool.
Right.
And that's as the stability of these servers continue to get that way. Like, it's not just junk we're gonna find. We're gonna find useful stuff. We're gonna find, that was the story that happened. So we'll see. I thought that was cool. Worth sharing.
Yeah. No, that is great. I haven't had that experience yet, but those kind of things will be more of an actual thing that could be had as time goes on. So yeah. Once we finally get to that point where everybody can be on one shard, and whatever you actually leave on the ground actually stays there, and you can go back and get it, then yeah, the game will be changed forever. So yeah. All right. Well, with that, let's see. Hold on. Did we got another question? There's something about Star Citizen that is not only its jaw-dropping scenery, but also its fun moments, mostly random bugs.
Yes. Yes.
That's 100% true.
There are some that are so freaking funny.
There are so many elements that come out of the woodwork that you don't think about most of the time. You never know what you're going to get yourself into, and that's what makes the game fun. But yeah, with all of that, I want to say thank you to everybody who came in and joined us during the stream, and afterwards, I would love for anybody to get in the comments if you guys have anything else to say and talk about. Get in there and ask us some questions and join in on the discussion if you didn't get a chance to yet. But yeah, thanks again, everybody. This is the Snowbirds meeting room. We now do these on Sundays, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And yeah, thanks again. We'll see you guys next time.
Take care.
Fly safe, guys.